Happy New Year. So glad to see all of you and be able to talk about knitting and set some goals. And I've just had a really good holiday with my family. Two of my kids, 2 out of 3 were home. And my husband made a beautiful wooden 2x4 tree that had lights on it. It was cat proof. And we just had a good time. And I hope all of you had a good holiday. And lots to talk about today. I am so grateful for this podcast because it has forced me to put my knitting work on Ravelry on a much more consistent basis because I need links to share with all of you as far as what I worked on. So the name of this episode is Past Presents, as in Christmas presents, and Future. And so we'll start with the past. I think I showed these before. These are my scrappy socks for December. Grocery Girls Knit sock bash, excuse me. And yeah, they turned out really well. I'm very happy with them. Just really happy with how those turned out. They are single row stripes of leftover sock yarn. And this is a tradition. I have learned this is a tradition of the sock bash to do scrappies at the end of the year. So that's fun. And Bosco's going up to the tower. So that's nice. I also finished the edition 3 socks. These are Shawl Wool, German yarn, superwash, no nylon, just superwash, and I finished both of them. So I will tell you that if you make the switch from sock yarn, and I switch back and forth, but from sock yarn that's 100% superwash back to something that's 20-25% nylon, the nylon yarns feel really crunchy and you need to wash them and get them softer. But these are cushy and really soft. And both of these socks, the scrappy and these, are a gift. So these will be going out in the mail at some point soon. Then I got into a little dangerous territory here because on my last podcast, I showed you this. These are magic heel socks, which are tube socks with a section of knit 2 purl 2 along the middle to create a hugging heel as a tube sock. And these are knit by Crafty Jackma on Ravelry, who posted these as their scrappy sock. And look how nicely they photographed that. Their scrappy sock for December. And I really wanted to try this. And so I cast on for this podcast and I made a pair. And so there's the picture for the YouTube. Yeah, they just have a section in the middle of knit 2 purl 2 that goes over the heel, and these are for middle child. Middle child claimed these. This is yarn that came, I think, from Marianne's legendary stash, which you've heard about on this podcast before. Is a guild member who passed away and had just a lot of yarn, and this wound up at my church, actually, in the pile. And yeah, the guild met at the church, so it's all connected. But this is a yarn called Perfect because it's got a yellow strand at the beginning of the ball and then in the middle of the ball. And if you use that, you cut that out and use it as a starting point, your stripes will match. So, and that worked out pretty well. I I thought as I was knitting them that it was the stripes were a little bit kind of blurry and watercolor, so to speak. Also, I think Marianne or whoever had owned this yarn, first of all, instead of being in a pull-out skein, it was caked. So I think they had knit it or tried to knit it and then pulled out whatever they did and caked the yarn. And I found when I went to the second sock that I had to cut off some of this blue to make the cuffs match. But the gimmick of this yarn is you start knitting from just beyond that bright yellow stripe. You cut the yellow off and you just start knitting, and you don't need to change colors, and it automatically the stripes match. There is a section in this that is this blue again that's supposed to be for a little short row heel cuff, which I cut out. I knew I was going to have ends to work in, or I think in this case I did Russian join, but I didn't want to have that blue in the middle for a tube sock, so I just cut it out. All right, I think that's all I have to tell you about this, except it is a little crunchy compared to the superwash because it has 20% nylon in it. And this is one of those Arnie and Carlos striped ones. So I knit these for as an example of a sock that I liked from Ravelry that someone else had done. And then as I said, I was a little dissatisfied with the stripes because I thought they were a little watercolory and not, to me, as I was knitting the first leg, I thought, is this really working out? Are these really stripes? And so I pulled out some paint box socks, and this is in the color Winter Flowers. I've had this for a long time. And these stripes are a lot more, even though they've got some breaks in them, a lot more defined. And these will match. There's a bright blue stripe in this when you get to the end of the first sock. You cut off that really bright blue stripe and start over again, and you get this heathered pink cuff, and it goes down, and the stripes should match. So I will work on these this month. They're not Sock Bash socks. These are podcast socks. That's what they are. All right. So where am I now on my notes here? That's where I've been on Sockland. Cranbox socks. No, they're called Paintbox. Paintbox socks. Magic Heel socks. And then I also finished the blanket I was working on. It's all wrapped up, but this is the corner to corner made out of Taco Artist, which is 30% wool, 60% premium acrylic. Turned out really nice. I'm very, very happy with that. That is also a gift. It's all wrapped up. So, and I talked about that quite a bit last time, but it's finished. So, yeah, I've had a bit of accomplishment. Feel pretty proud of myself for all of that. I will get to the socks for this month in a minute, but I want to talk about presents because I ordered my Christmas presents, and this is how my husband and I do it because he's so wonderful, is I get to order what I want, and then it's from him. So, first of all, I ordered 2 sock kits. And these are from a company called Yarn Love on Etsy. Excuse me for bumping the table there. Yarn Love on Etsy. She is in Iowa. And these are zebra sock yarn, which it's spun, white, and then some black is spun in there with the white to make the zebra stripes come in. These are not the same color. This one has more of a fall thing in it, and this is just blue. And this is really neon yellow, and this is just light blue. So I'm not sure about the colors with these. I really wanted to try some zebra yarn. I think these zebras might wind up being hats. And these minis also might wind up being hats. I'm definitely going to put this in the hat box for the fall to make hats. Because I'll tell you what the colorways are. This one is the Creepy Crawly sock set. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon in Oliver Twist. And the mini is Juliet fingering, which also has the same fiber content. And this one is Cosmos sock set, also 80-20, Oliver Twist and Galadriel fingering. And both of the minis are 105 yards, and the regular skein is 400 in both cases. Okay. And there's a link below to Sock Love and their Etsy store. And then I also got, let me tell you, a grab bag. This is a grab bag of German sock yarn from a store in Seattle called Little Knits in Seattle. It is 10 skeins, all different colors. And I will tell you, Little Knits tells you on their website whether, first of all, they pick the colors and they tell you are there any repeats in the bag. One of the yarns, one of the balls of the yarns is some of this Perfect. This one is not an Arne and Carlos, but it is a Perfect that makes matching socks. You start with the bright yellow and cut that off and start knitting, and your socks will match. And they do have this little fiddly bit in the middle that is supposed to be the heel. And I think I'm just going to go ahead on faith with this and start the heel flap. But if I get to the point where that brown yarn, it's brown in this case, winds up going over the instep, I'm just going to cut it off because I don't want that silly stripe on there. Okay, so there's one skein of that in this grab bag. And then there are, I think, four regular Regia. Just take them out here. Nice men color there, male, gray and blue. I shouldn't give gender to my yarn, but this looks like men's socks to me. I don't think these have any colorways. They don't. Okay. 4-ply, Regia 4-ply. And then pull out the Regias here. Very nice spring color. Another blue. This is blues and grays. And then there's a blue and, well, teal and brown. That'd make a great hat. But, yeah, and that's just 4-ply. So that's not one of those perfect ones. So that would make a good hat. And then I think all the other ones are Furnival Saija, which is silk. It is 60% wool, 20% polymid, and 20% silk. These are freaking soft. And there's this blue one which has some mauve in there. Then there's a kind of a spring color and another one with blues and creams. These are going to go in the hat bag for sure, because sock yarn makes good hats. And then this is that's the Valentine's Day yarn for sure. And youngest child has already claimed birthday socks. Yeah, youngest child's birthday's in February, so youngest child looked at this one and went. And youngest child's the one that grabs the socks out of the sock bag and said, "I'll take these." So that's already claimed. All right, I wanted to say that I have had a lot more success with buying a grab bag for Christmas than buying an advent calendar. Because I know what I knit, and I knit socks. And so, the advent calendars, someone has a vision of what goes together and what they want to give you for the advent calendar. And as you know, I bought one this year and it was pastels that I didn't like the colors and I gave it away. Buying a grab bag, if I don't like one of the colors, they can still be a pair of socks for somebody. And this Little Knits in Seattle, I thought these were a real bargain. We had a little bit of a mix-up in ordering them, I will tell you, and I would try to make it clear with them. I think their website was going with free shipping on so many certain balls of yarn. If you bought so many balls of yarn, you got free shipping. And this 10-ball bag, because it was so marked down, it really didn't count as 10 balls of yarn because they were already really losing profit on these. And so they got back to me and said, "I'm sorry, these aren't free shipping and it's going to be $10 more." And I was like, "Oh," but given that, I mean, these balls of yarn are retail $19.50 and I got them with the $10 shipping for $8. So I got each one for less than half price. The colors are terrific as far as I'm concerned in terms of, nothing disappointed me. And I'm not overspending on that. And I will tell you, that it just depends on what you want. But to tell the truth, those 10 balls of yarn cost the same as this. And this is from a hand dyer. This is, amazing stuff that is precious and I like it and I'm glad I got it. But in terms of churning out socks every month, grab bag to me is a really good deal. So those were my Christmas presents from my husband. My husband got a table saw that he picked out and ordered, and we both got what we want. And the other thing I wanted to talk about in terms of presents and presence of mind and so forth is planners. And, I am not I'm not an affiliate for anything, by the way. Nobody paid me to endorse either of these yarn companies or whatever. And I'm not an affiliate for any planner company because I use a notebook. I use a 60-page notebook for my planner. And my husband uses one of those little pocket notebooks. And everything goes in there from to-do lists to grocery lists to addresses to phone numbers to notes for meetings, community meetings, and so forth. That's his memory, his portable memory. So, this is what I did for the month of January. Here's January 1st. Holiday podcast, knitting podcast. And I do have a bunch of washi tape from back when I thought I was going to do bullet journaling and realized that bullet journaling is just a whole nother craft and it's not knitting. And what I want to do is knitting. So I take a notebook and I'm left-handed. So I put it on the left-hand side so that the wire doesn't hit my hand. And then on the other side, I have a page for journaling that day if I need to journal. And each day, it's 60 pages. Each day is like that. So I have a spread. Let me show you another one here. And then I have 2 days on the weekend. So I split and do 2 days. Just trying to think if there's anything here. Here we go. Here's one. Wednesday, January 8th. Bosco Vet, 10 a.m. Okay. Don't. Shh. All right. So Planner. I just encourage you, if you used to be a planner person and now you realize that that takes up too much time, get a notebook and keep notes in it. That's what I do. All right. Future. Let's talk about the future. Just for the month of January. We are on. What did I do with it? Oh, it's here, isn't it? Yeah. I'm making. It's starting up. 2025 year of UFOs finisher frog. We're in there. People are leaving notes and chats and what they plan to do for January. So I did some planning today, and I want to show you what I'm going to finish in terms of a UFO. And the thing is, I have to. This is a caveat. I didn't knit this. This is I people give me UFOs from church of other people's. And it's not like I don't want to work on my own UFOs. I do, but this one I'm interested to see how it works up. This was going to be a cuff to cuff sweater that someone knit. And I think it's simply soft tweed. That's what I think it is. But it's a cuff to cuff sweater. They've got markers on there for the button bands and seed stitch on the cuffs. But putting it over my shoulders and holding it up, the cuffs are about 3 inches too long. And so for January, my plan is for the first UFO I work on, I'm going to rip these sleeves back and gather from that enough yarn to sew up the seams and reknit the cuff in seed stitch. And this is only 4 rows of seed stitch that they, whoever knit this, put on there. So that's not a lot of work. And I'm just going to rip back 3 inches and then, like I said, put it together. And I'll do this week, and I'll show you next week how it worked out. Now this isn't the cuff. This is the front. Anyway, that's what I'm going to work on as a UFO this week in terms of sweaters. Also, every month, I am hoping that I have an opportunity to show you a frog from my stash of UFOs. And this one is going to be ripped out. It turned out okay. It is a Casapinka shawl, Breathe in Hope. It turned out okay, but the colors, I don't like how these colors went together. I was hoping to have something bright for summer that, and I know people are probably looking at this going, oh, I really like that. Yeah. I thought I would like it too, but there's olive and brown in the variegated that is making it, to me, not work. And I just know I won't wear it. So I'm going to rip this back and rip it out and find another color or do something else because I just don't like it. I won't wear it. So I love the color. It's this is a hedgehog fiber in colorway Dragonfly. I really like it. And then the blue is Malabrigo in cyan. So I thought it would go well together, but it didn't. It just doesn't. So for me. So that's going to get ripped. And I am hoping to have more examples of that. Not that I want to frog everything, but I want to point out to people, as I say at practically every podcast, is frogging is as valuable to your artwork as finishing. Making a decision that it's not working and you want to move on to something else. It's really important. Okay, so the other planning that I'm doing for this month is has to do with setting some time limits so that I get some things done. And so I have decided that I'm going to do Knit a Sleeve Week over at the Ravelry page from January 15th to 22nd. That's a Wednesday to a Wednesday, but that weekend is Martin Luther King Day weekend. So those of you that have a little time off that weekend can have a little more time to knit a sleeve. I'm running this on the same practice as Sock Week, where I learned that I could knit a sock in a week. I want to learn that I can knit a sleeve or maybe even 2 sleeves in a week, but certainly try to knit an entire sleeve in a week and see if I can move along to finishing a sweater that way. And then from the following week, January 22nd to 29th, there were enough people talking about second sock syndrome, and I did an entire podcast about that a few weeks ago. We're going to knit a second sock, January 22nd to 29th, and that gives you till the 31st to finish that sock if you need that extra time. But knit a second sock in a week, 22nd to the 29th, Wednesday to Wednesday. I worked in the ends to this pair of socks and finished it at 11:59 on New Year's Eve. So these counted as December socks. And then again, I've talked about this before. Knit blankets for Lent. I mean, for Lent, right? But it's just a way. It's a 40-day time period where you change up your routine. And I need to change up my routine and get back to finishing some blankets that have been in my stash for a while. So I picked Lent, this March 5th to April 17th, as a time to work on blankets. So that's going to work out. I want to talk about January Sock Bash socks. Thank the Lord. There is a tradition over at Grocery Girls on Ravelry, where in the past they have done, their January sock has been knit in the Pantone color of the year. Well, the Pantone color of the year for 2025 is mocha mousse, which is this kind of creamy beige brown, which would be a great eyeshadow color for some people, but I don't have that in my sock yarn stash, and I don't think a lot of people do. So I was very grateful that the January Sock Bash sock is a little lace rather than knit in this muddy, diaper poop brown. Okay. Seriously. It's, you could paint your bathroom with it, I guess. I mean, it's like I said, it's an eyeshadow color, but it's not a sock color. Not a solid sock color anyway. But what is a solid sock color is this. And I showed you this before. I was going to use this yarn for the heels for that edition 3 sock, and I wound up using Liberally Bleeding Heart yarn instead. So I had 2 skeins of this Croy. The pattern I'm using is an easy lace sock. Here's the chart. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I've linked it below. Super easy. I'm going to put this on the leg and see what it looks like and see if I even want it on the foot. I think I'm going to do a solid stockinette foot. 60 stitches on size 2 needles. This is going to go quickly. And I just started the cuff today, size 2s, moving up a needle size on the cuff. So, like I said, that's going to go quickly. I'm probably going to hold off either on this one or on the paint box socks, so I have a second sock to work on during our second sock knit along at the end of this month. All right, finally, I wanted to read something to everyone at the end of my podcast. Last time I did Elizabeth Zimmerman, and this time I'm doing Yarn Harlot. This is all wound up. The Yarn Harlot Writes for a Spin by Stephanie Pearl-McPhee, a goddess in the yarn world. And I'm just going to read a little section from this to inspire you. This is her little article called Things to Learn. Number 1, buying yarn to lift my mood will only make me feel better for a little while. Then I will have less money and less space, which is actually less uplifting. This is actually true about almost all shopping. Number 2, it saves time to take time to do things right. I resent the hell out of that one because even after almost 40 years of knitting, I still can't believe that there's no way to speed this up. I have to admit, though, that after 40 years of trying to figure out where to cut corners, it turns out that knitting just doesn't work that way. Cutting a corner means what you make is less good. Things that are less good are either less durable or funny looking. And either way, people want that stuff less or not at all. And then you've totally wasted your time because you have a sweater with one sleeve that sort of pulls because you didn't rip back and have a do-over when you totally knew that the short rows were funny. And now nobody's ever going to wear it. For example, not that I learned the hard way or anything. Number 3, it takes me about 16 hours to knit a plain pair of sock weight socks. See, that's the lesson, right? That sock week lesson. I can knit a sock in a week. It takes her 16 hours. She's figured that out, and it matters. Knowing how long it takes helps you budget your time. Number 4, I do not knit socks full time. Number 5, clearly understanding items 3 and 4, my expectations concerning how much sock yarn I should be buying are way too high. 6, related to items 3, 4, and 5 above, I may be dangerously delusional, since I understand these things and still don't think this means I have too much sock yarn. You don't. It's a palette. I've said that before. It's your palette. No one ever told Van Gogh he had too many colors of paint. You see color, you need it. It's for inspiration. Number 7, there is absolutely nothing that can be said to one's employer to properly explain that you have a knitting deadline for your sister's baby and really can't come into work. I would have better luck getting a day off if I said that all my clothes burned up in a house fire and that coming to work means coming naked. Number 8, no matter how interesting it is to me, and no matter how long I think about it, I have to admit that knitting probably moves too slowly to make a good basis for a reality show like Dancing with the Stars or America's Next Top Model. That is not stopping British television from doing a knitting competition show, if you've seen that on Instagram. Number 9, it is okay to use stash yarn. The integrity of the stash does not need to be maintained. Knit from your stash, right? It is not a mine shaft that will collapse in on itself and destroy everything if I take something out. Number 10, I should not resent it when socks wear out. The average woman weighs 150 pounds and takes between 5,000 and 8,000 steps a day. I should consider it a miracle and be nothing short of astonished if socks last more than a single wearing. And that's it. I had that conversation with my sister-in-law, who just flipped out that her socks don't last because she hikes. And so what did I do? I sent her a bunch of sock yarn for Christmas out of my stash. And that was her present. I hope you guys have a good week, and we will see you next week. And like I said, I'm going to be working on this sweater this week and figuring out this inherited sleeve, see what how I can shorten these, and I'll get back to you on that. And I hope you guys find some time to relax and knit and create and have a good time. And I will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.